Hello fellow travelers, my name's SG and welcome to the channel. Today, since Halloween is at close at hand, I thought it'd be good to talk about the movie Halloween. And since I really couldn't decide between either the original or Rob Zombie, I thought it'd be a good chance to do a compare and contrast of both these movies. Now, I love the original, and I also like the remake. I know a lot of people have different opinions on these things, but how about we really break down their differences amongst their story, character, and all that? Alright, well, let's get started. The stories overall are that of Michael has escaped from an insane asylum and is on his way back to his childhood home, and he is going to go on a killing spree to whoever is living in the home or whoever is ever in that neighborhood. I would like to say there's more to the story than that, but for now, that's all I'm really going to say. The stories do converge a little bit as it goes on. We see him chasing Lori in both sections. That's really the main issue of both movies. But there is more to it in the Rob Zombie version rather than the original. I would suggest watching both for what they are, because they're both equally good in their own sense. I can appreciate the original, and I can appreciate the remake. Not as the same movie, but as their own interpretations of the original script, of the original idea. So, let's go on to the real compare and contrast of these, shall we? Well, first things first. We're going to talk about the 1978 Halloween film, and then the 2009 Rob Zombie remake. The storylines, surprisingly for a remake, are very accurately done. They actually mirror each other very well. It's just I think that the Rob Zombie one added a little more scenes to explain the family dynamic, show a little bit more of the gruesomeness of Michael Myers, make it more eerie, like he's just a boogeyman walking around. While in the original 1978 version, we do get him as more of a boogeyman character, more like he's around the corner and he's willing to catch you. Like, he never runs in those movies. He's always just there. He's walking, or at least speed walking a little bit. Then that's what makes him a frightening character. He doesn't need to run. He doesn't need to do anything. All he knows is he's going to catch you one way or another. The Rob Zombie films take that a little bit away by making him more of an actual person, by trying to make him more of a real life threat to somebody. Not wrong, but different. And I can appreciate both versions. Both are very intimidating in their own way. Michael is the same no matter how you twist it, but we'll get to that bit in a minute. Like I said, the storylines are relatively equal. There is a little bit more added to the unrated version of the Rob Zombie movie, but for now we're just going to go with the theatrical one, the one you could probably see on TV. And for the most part, they nailed it pretty well. Rob Zombie kept to the source material almost beat by beat, while at the same time adding his own depth to it, his own flair. The cinematography is a little different, and the characters actually feel like people rather than of their time. And that's kind of what the original Halloween was. It was for the people of that time. So all in all, not a bad mix-up. Both are very well done. Both are almost the same beat for beat in each version. This one does it better than most remakes I see. This one actually tries to follow the script to the letter, while at the same time enjoying its own flair for theatrics. The settings are different, the costumes are different, the actors are different, but the personalities are there, the characters are there, the scenery is there. It all fits. Like, you can watch these two side by side, see their similarities, but at the same time enjoy their differences, and which is something I think is very unique and very well done on them for the most part. Well, now that we've talked about the story, let's talk about the characters, because the characters make the movie for this style of movie. For any horror movie, it's the characters, because it's their reactions, their actions, it's everything that is about them. So the first one we obviously have to talk about is Michael. Michael in these two movies are different but the same. Like I said, the Michael and Rob Zombie's movie feels actually like a person that's just going out there committing these crimes and is stalking Lori. we can understand that we see him and he is just walking around. He is being seen by people, by trick-or-treaters. And like you can see him actually roaming the house. It's not a mystery what he's doing, it's just a mystery of his intention. To where in the original film, in the 1978 version, Michael Myers is more of an entity. He's more of just turn around and he'll be there. He is hiding in every corner. You don't see him moving around, but that's what's terrifying about him. That sudden shock when he pops out and attacks is what makes his character in the original, and what has followed throughout the sequels. Neither one is wrong. I think both of them have their own flavors, and I think different people can accept that these two characters, though they are the same, are vastly different to one another. And you can tell Rob Zombie's version has really trickled down into the regular storyline of the originals, or, as the new trilogy went on. You see Rob Zombie's influence slightly in all of them. Now, let's talk about Laurie. Laurie's character is obviously different compared to the original. In the original by Jamie Lee Curtis, we just get the vibe that she's just a victim in all this. She is just somebody that happened to be in the house the night he came back. And she is the original character of horror, the real victim in all this. We don't get that in the Rob Zombie version though. We get that she's a little different. We get that she's more in Michael's story than we let on, with her actually being the person that turns out to be his sister. Now, John Carpenter has admitted that that's not part of the original story, and I respect that. That's fine, and some people's headcanons will always go to that. I don't agree with it. I think it means more if she's his sister. Otherwise, he's just chasing her for no odd reason than just the fact that she was in the house. It makes sense, but doesn't really fit with me all in all. I do like both versions. They both work. The characters are the same, but when it got to Rob Zombie's sequel, we see her character change more and more, becoming darker, more in tune to the world that she's in. The same can be said about Jamie Lee Curtis's version, but it takes a little longer to get there. And to go along with her through this road really makes sense and really makes you appreciate the final films a little bit more as we go in. They're both interesting. Both characters are similar, but it's interesting to see them take two different routes in a weird way. To see them become two completely different characters, but at the same time start off as the same person. Now, let's talk about Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis has always been an interesting character because he's in both movies as a very prominent character. In the original, he feels more like just a doctor that has grown fond of Michael, that he has become sort of like a friend and knows of his dangerousness. That he has been this just trying to be a parent figure almost, but knows that he is not fit for the outside world. During the Rob Zombie version, we get a complete turnaround of that. He is trying to be kind of like this parent figure, trying to be a best friend to Michael, but at the same time, he's making money off him. He's going and doing shows about him. He's wrote a book about him. This version of Loomis is different. He is more of a showboat and more wants to talk about Michael for his own personal gain. And like I said, the one that makes the most sense to me existing is definitely the Rob Zombie version. I do like him. He becomes more prevalent than in the original. Not saying that he is not an important figure, he is. But you can remember him more in the Rob Zombie version than you can in the original. As for references, well, the original one doesn't really have any. It was the first of its kind to come out. So the only thing I can mention was probably Michael Myers' mask. Being a William Shatner mask they painted white and let age for a minute. That's pretty funny to me. Even in the Rob Zombie, they managed to recreate that similar mask using a William Shatner mask, just a little more updated. And as for the Rob Zombie version, I would have to say that almost the entire movie is full of references. From the kills straight to the characters. Even the scenery itself, they're all references to the original and a good love letter to it. There isn't really anything I could really point out as specific other than that. But yeah, I think it stands on its own pretty well. The references are there. It'll make anyone who has seen the original and want a good reminder of or a wave of nostalgia really get them kicking off. Camera work for both are really well done. In the original, we see more of a jump scare situation. You see, because we don't really see Michael Myers moving around, a lot of the misdirection the camera gives really gives an ominous, mystical vibe to it. It makes you think that Mike Myers could pop out at any time. He's watching you down the street, but then all of a sudden he's waiting for you in the closet. The camera work does a well enough job to catch the eye and will distract you from any bigger storyline going on in the background. You won't notice it, and it's very easy to miss. As for the Rob Zombie one, it works in a different sense. It's more detailed. It prioritizes character. So we will follow Mike Myers through the entire scenery, but we won't be as shocked to see him around the corner. We will digest more in that one. It's going off a vibe that relies more on realistic version rather than boogeyman version. That's the best scenario I can give for that. We're trying to make somebody human in this situation, and it's very well done. Both are choreographed, and settings are beautiful enough to get the hang of it. And like I said, if you put them side by side, they feel like they're two different movies, not even of the same script. And I think there's something that can be taken away from that. Overall, both movies have their value, I like to think. Both have their interpretations of similar events just in a different way. You could watch one back to back and you wouldn't get the same vibe. They wouldn't be the same. They would be different. And that's unique in its own way. I think the remake hits it out of the park, really, it does, with making the original pop, making it its own, making it a different story, while at the same time respecting the original material of the original. And I do like the original a little bit more, just for the fact that it's really the building block to a whole legacy of movies. I think anybody can agree that the original is better. But I do think that the remake has its own charm. And that if you do like the remake more, that's your choice. And that's fine. They're both good choices. I'm not saying one's better than the other. Well, I kind of am, aren't I? But either way, my point is this. Both did a great job at portraying the script. The story is amazing. The artwork, the scenery for it, is very well done. You can really feel that these are products of their time. The original is done in the 70s, and you can tell that it's a very 70s movie. While the 2007 one is done in the 2000s, and you can tell it's done in the 2000s. They're their own versions of a reflection, I guess, of the era they're from. And Rob Zombies did a good job updating that, while I think the other one had a good job starting that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this review of both the movies. I did enjoy watching both of the movies. And please make sure to come back next week. I am hoping to reach 50 subscribers by at least Halloween, October 31st. So if you would, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have an opinion about the movies, please leave it down below. I would love to read your comments. Alright, I'll see you guys next time, and see you later.